Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we finally have some news from Creative Assembly. Unfortunately they didn't supply these blogs in advance because you know how these things are going right now. So yeah, let's have a little bit of a deep dive and discuss everything here. I'm hoping it's not too bad because we haven't read it yet and yeah, I always get a little bit worried when Creative Assembly do a blog post that we've not had early access to. So let's begin. Hi everyone, I'm Richard Aldridge, Game Director for Total War Warhammer 3. Today I want to share some news with you on the new content that will be arriving soon for Shadows of Change with patch 4.2, free for existing owners, and bolstering the DLC for anyone picking it up post patch 4.2. I'll be covering what you can expect going forward from the Total War Warhammer series, taking a peek behind the curtain as to how we go about planning, creating, and making our DLCs, and having a close look at the new additions for Grand Cathay we'll be receiving as part of patch 4.2. Okay, alright, everything sounds pretty good so far. Let's jump in. Alright, reflecting on Shadows of Change. I'll cut straight to it. We didn't give you enough new characters and units to play with at the original release of Shadows of Change. We believe we can put this right for you, having listened to your feedback these past months to provide you with better and more varied options for your armies. We know that you, our community, are passionate about the game as we are, and we're pleased to say that many of your suggestions have been enacted upon. Not all ideas and requests are possible though. The era of Karl Franz is, as you've come to expect, a rich and exciting setting for Total War, and we work closely with the Warhammer studio to ensure that the content of this era of Warhammer is as faithfully respected in our game as possible. All the forces featured within the Shadows of Change DLC can look forward to a sizable collection of reinforcements, but we won't be adding Hag Mothers as generic lords, as Mother of Stankia is the only Hag Mother of Kislev. Similarly, the relationship between the Gospodars and the Ungles is taking a back seat as we look less at the tensions of historic Kislevite culture and more at what defines Kislev as a unified military force in the era of Karl Franz. Similarly, we won't be adding Beaks to Zangors, as while the avian characteristics occurs in other Warhammer settings, these elite Gors in the old world represent those beastmen who have drawn the eye of the Changer of Ways, rather than a totally separate offshoot of breed. Alright, but as ever, we aim to ensure that whatever we do add to Total War Warhammer 3 is as authentic as an experience of the old world of in the world of Warhammer as possible. Okay, so they're coming in with the slap of what not to expect, which, fair enough. Sad about the Beaks, sad more about the Hag Mothers, because it would just be nice to have, but let's look at what is actually being added in. What to expect moving forward. Looking to the future, the team and I love the Warhammer universe and want to make as much content for it as possible, whether that be add further existing characters in like the Golden Knights, spectacular units, and creatures. Yes, I'm looking at you, Mighty Hotpot. Oh, really? They want to do halflings? Well, that would be freaking cool. Or other unexplored lore. We still plan to make many more DLCs for Total War Warhammer 3, with some of them, like Thrones of Decay, following the same premise and composition of Shadows of Change, where we will add to and develop 3 existing races from across the Warhammer world. Accompanied by our patches and updates, this will give you the opportunity to go back to some of your most beloved races and give them some attention. Below, I have laid out what you can expect to see for Shadows of Change and Thrones and Decay in terms of the content and features of these products moving forward. So this is what we're supposed to have by the end of the update and also for Thrones of Decay. 3 Legendary Lords, each playable in the Realms of Chaos and Immortal Empires campaigns, unique gameplay mechanics for each Legendary Lord, 3 Legendary Heroes, 1 per race, 3 Lords, 1 per race, 3 Heroes, 1 per race, 5 units, infantry, cavalry, monsters, etc. per race, 3 regiments of renown, and 1 free LC character, so a called Hellbrass and a legendary lord for Thrones of Decay. Potential further content is new mounts, new additional FLC, and new spell laws. Okay, that's not bad. See, that is actually quite good. 3 legendary heroes, great. 3 lord options, great. This is actually much better, and I would say that if everything works as intended, that would likely be more hype-worthy and more justifiable for the price. That's actually not too bad, because one problem that we did have for Shadows of Change is it was very all over the place. Nobody actually got the big love there. I mean, Tzeentch got all the really good units, for example. We had a really powerful mechanics with another character, though. The theming was also back with Tzeentch. This is actually quite good. I'm happy about this. This is much more than we already had for the initial release. This is good. Alright, so here's a comparison chart which shows how much we're actually getting. This is good. This is much, much better. The update is just going to be a lot better if people are going to be enjoying themselves and actually have, well, the material to justify a €25 price point. So yeah, that looks a little bit better. Alright, so let's continue. We do have a little bit more information here. Thank you again for your invaluable feedback since the release of Shadows of Change, and in particular the thoughts on improving the rosters and having parity across the races with the content that we're adding as a part of them. As mentioned above, each race will now have a Legendary Lord, Legendary Hero, Lord, Hero, 5 units and 3 Regiments of Renown. This, we hope, will allow you to lead thematic armies that are better connected to the Legendary Lord in the DLC, and add both lower tier troops and big centerpiece monsters, and they start to fill the gaps and needs of the races in the game that you have asked for. Where possible, with further content, we will be adding thematic laws of magic, mounts for new and existing characters to make use of, and some much requested FLC where it makes sense. Cough cough Catherine Slad. Finally! God damn it, finally! I hate when she rides a bear. Like, it makes sense, it's a really good mount, the bear is really good, but the sled! Oh my god, finally! Alright, let's continue. I hope that everything I've mentioned above looks much more in line with your expectations for the DLC as we move to significantly bridge the gap between our past products like the Chaos Dwarves and what we offer moving forwards, starting with Shadows of Change, now to the exciting stuff you've all come to see. Before that, alright, this is good. If we're going to have all the DLC's Chaos Dwarf quality, my cat is throwing around everything, that is good. That is very good, because, like it or not, and I saw some people complaining about the Chaos Dwarves, that was the best DLC we've had, because it's just so good. We need that quality moving forward. Alright, so Grand Cathay additions. To set the scene, when we went back to look at what we could add to enrich the offering of Grand Cathay and Shadows of Change, we focused heavily on the theme that surrounds the Jade Dragon in Celestial Court. Having his eyes and ears everywhere, having the ability to quickly react and protect his empire, to be the Emperor in all intents and purposes. This meant plenty of conversations with Games Workshop in looking to find characters and units that best complemented this approach and made sense from a lore perspective. Looking into what we hadn't included previously in Total War Warhammer 3 or Shadows of Change quickly helped us fill in some of the gaps in Grand Cathay's roster, such as with the Gatemaster and Celestial Lion. The Lion in particular was something that almost made the cut for the original release of Shadows of Change, so I'm super excited to see it now in the roster as both a monstrous unit and a mount option. Ooh, nice. But it also got us to look a little further afield too. As you can see with our first legendary hero for Grand Cathay, Saytang the Watcher. Alright, this is a big thing. You guys know that this is now a cut monster that is now being added in. There's a lot of cut stuff that happens with Creative Assembly, so maybe from now on they won't be cutting as much, which will be good because we want to start to see more big things, right? Saytang the Watcher, Sentinel of the Heavens, he's a legendary hero, so let me introduce Grand Cathay's first colossal legendary hero to you. We wanted to add Saytang to move away from what is currently known about Grand Cathay and showcase the other inhabitants of this mighty empire. Saytang represents an ever-watching protective figure, not dissimilar to Yuan Bo, but as you will see, is a fair bit larger. Saytang gives us the opportunity to expand on Grand Cathay's use of magical constructs, something which is core to this great nation and how it protects itself, along with giving them devastating long-range artillery like potential. Okay. Saytang also leads themselves nicely to the connection the Jade Dragon has to the Wind of Azir, Heavens, and the more magical elements of Grand Cathay. And we have some new lore from Games Workshop here. Known as the Guardian of the Sky, the Heavenly Bowman, or commonly to the people of the Southern Provinces, simply the Watcher. Saytang is the great sentinel that stands atop the mountains of heaven, towering over the other sentinels. Saytang is an imposing sight with its outstretched wings and great stone-feathered helm. Those who have witnessed Saytang in battle claim no armor or barrier can turn aside the arrows it fires from its great wind bow. The shaft piercings the ranks of its enemies, and even the iron hides of fell beasts. Though Saytang cannot fly in its true sense, its power allows it to leap great distances, even jumping from mountain peak to mountain peak in defense of the Empire. That's pretty interesting, actually. Above you can see the first step we take when designing and adding content to our DLCs. Starting with a thumbnail image, it gives us a quick and flexible method to work with Games Workshop in first realizing the character or unit. Its job is to get across the scale, flavor, and functionality, and work required to bring this model to life, but also easily adapt to suit the needs of the IP and the game before we move on to the next stage of the creation process, the concept art. I mean, it looks pretty damn cool. I like the idea. Let's continue. When entering the concept stage of the creation process, we are looking to up the visual quality of the model from the thumbnail, adding details, looking at materials and textures to use. This will act as comprehensive blueprint to guide our 3D character artists in the creation of the final model for you to play with in-game. We also use this as a sounding board for how our animations and designs will work, tweaking the size and scale of the body parts to work with the game's engine, creating a proxy model to test things out in maximizing the fun of each character or creature. Okay, yeah, this actually looks fairly good. The character model in-game looks fantastic. It's one of these things where it'll probably be better seen when we start seeing videos, which I imagine that Creative Assembly is going to start posting videos at some point to showcase all the additions. Yeah, that's cool. So we do have a gameplay overview also. Saytang the Watcher is a giant-sized legendary hero, which, disregarding mountain characters, is a rare sight in Total War Warhammer 3. Much like the Bone Giant of the Tomb King, Saytang uses a magical bow to fire artillery-grade projectiles into enemy lines. Saytang is also relatively strong in close combat, with good defensive stats and the ability to buff other nearby constructs. Okay. Saytang doesn't fly, being a construct, even with those mighty wings, but can jump large distances to close the gap on the enemy. I can't wait to see what this jump actually does. This should be pretty interesting. So, construct. With the introduction of Saytang to the game, we have reevaluated the role of constructs on the Cathay roster. The Terracotta Sentinel, both Guardian Lions are now considered constructs, with the same rules of the constructs found on the Tomb King's roster. Okay. Saytang has an ability that synergizes with this type of unit. Tough and heavy. Saytang has high amount of armor, which enables it to shrug off most attacks from non-armor piercing sources. As heavier character, Saytang will also be able to send small entities flying with ease. Okay. And the giant bow, armed with the wind bow, Saytang can deliver long-range attacks and singular targeted shots with devastating precision. So he's going to work very similar to that of a Bone Giant, but just be a hero. I mean, I'm kind of keen on that. That's actually pretty good. I'm happy. I hope he's good. I hope he does a lot of damage, because he's likely going to be fairly slow. Unless that jump is absolutely wonderful, which we haven't seen yet. Oh, cool. We've got another character here. This is the Gate Master of the Celestial Cities. You may have seen the art of this character since the release of Total War Warhammer 3, a character which didn't quite make the final cut. But he is now here to stand tall and add a bit of melee strength to your Grand Cathay front line. Fantastic. I'm really happy to get a melee hero. Jade Warriors are the professional soldiers of Grand Cathay, and the Gate Master of the Celestial Cities are their leaders. To earn the title of Gate Master, Jade Warrior must have served in the defense of their city, and many are veterans of the Empire's many wars. Like their soldiers, the Gate Masters trained in defensive warfare and how to best defend their city, and as such know how to read the lay of the land before a battle. This can prove useful in enacting the will of their Lord Magistrate, who trust their Gate Masters above all other officers in their armies. This is cool. I was really hoping we'd see this, so I'm really happy that we're finally getting that. There's no point showing too much of the art because, again, we've seen this since the art book came out. Okay, so we got the gameplay overview. The Gate Master is a defensive line-holding hero with hybrid weaponry. Using his abilities, he can buff the defensives of nearby troops while shooting enemies with his crossbow from behind the main battle line. A fun fact is that the Gate Master is the first hero with a conventional crossbow that we've put into the game, Dark Elf repeaters notwithstanding, which will serve the armies of Grand Cathay well in many different scenarios. I am a big fan that it's actually going to be hybrid. I love the idea of that. Super keen. Super keen. Means that they're just multi-purpose, which is awesome. They are defensive too, so yeah, buffs to your friendly units, and they can be mounted on a warhorse. I was expecting something a little bit more, but I guess, yeah, warhorse is kind of fine. Was kind of expecting a Longmar, though. Okay, we have something really unique here with the Great Moonbird, monster and monstrous mount. Continuing the theme of the Celestial Court and to give Grand Cathay some added flying power, we've added the Great Moonbird as both a monstrous single-entity flying unit and as a mount option for variety characters to field. Favored of the Empress, the great moonbirds are found in the highest peaks of the mountains of heaven. They are said to make their nests in the craters of Mansleep, the silver moon of the Warhammer world, and only fly down to Earth when called by either their Empress or the most powerful astromancers. Feared to behold in battle, the moonbird are often wreathed in silvery flames or moonfire, which burns the enemies of the Empire who come into contact with it. Powerful lords, especially wizards of the Celestial Court, might even be granted a moonbird as a mount, though this is usually only for a short time before the creature once more returns to the heavens. That's pretty cool, actually. That is actually pretty cool. I'm quite keen on the design of the beastie. It's definitely very, very unique. I love it. It's different. It's honestly very different. I was expecting a phoenix, actually, so it's nice to see... Yeah, because we were going to expect, what, Vermilion birds? So yeah, this is actually kind of cool. I like this. Alright, so we got the gameplay overview here. Similar to the High Elf Phoenixes, the Great Moonbird is a magical flying monster with flaming attacks and a powerful AoE vortex ability. Grand. So new strategies will become viable in battle, whether it is providing air-to-air defense for skyjunks or sweeping down into enemy lines. The Great Moonbird is also a mount for the Astromancer, which offers them a whole new level of battlefield mobility, and definitely making them much more useful if they're going to have a fast-flying attack. Yeah, this is great. Alright, let's look at this. So, yeah, it can fly. Moonfire. By flapping its wings, the Great Moonbird can produce a vortex of moonfire, which damages all enemies caught within its radius, and then flaming and magical attacks. Yep, overall, pretty good. I think that is a lovely addition. It looks great. I'm just a big fan. But now we've got to talk about the really interesting one. Now, the last thing being added in is the Celestial Lion. It's a monster and a mount. Probably my favorite model of the new additions to Grand Cathay, the Celestial Lion's beauty and strength is second to none, acting as both a single entity monstrous flying unit and a mount option for a variety of characters from Grand Cathay. The Celestial Court will strike terror into those that stand within its ways. Wing lions exist in the East, believed to have been descended from natural beasts warped during the coming of chaos to the world. Unlike the fell manticores of the West, these celestial beasts have been purified by the power of the Dragon Emperor and live within the sacred hunting grounds of the Forest of the Moon. Favored sorcerers or warriors may be gifted such a creature by the dragons, riding it into battle and striking fear into the foes of the Empire. Ooh, purified chaos. Interesting. This makes me just really curious about the Dragon Emperor more, because obviously we know he's powerful, but that is very, very powerful to be able to purify chaos. Design-wise, I love it. It's a big thing. I wonder what this means, because obviously Ind has flying lions. Are they going to be very similar? Well, we don't know if Ind is even a possibility anymore, but I imagine that the scope and scale for Warhammer 3 hasn't really changed, because they know that this is the big moneymaker. That being said, it is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful monster. That's something that I'm thinking about in the future for like the tabletop. It's going to be a pain to paint, but that's going to be so cool to field. Alright, so let's look at the gameplay overview. The Celestial Dragon is another flying single entity monster for the armies of Cathay to utilize. Similar to a Griffin or a Manticore, it is able to provide air support on a budget compared to higher tier units like the Great Moonbird. The Celestial General can also make this as a... Oh, okay, so the Celestial General can use this as a mount. That's cool. It's got fear and terror, alright. It's fast. I wonder how fast. If it's got like 80, 90 speed, that's going to be great. It's also a flying unit, so yeah, I mean, this is awesome, man. I like it. I'm a big fan of everything that we've seen so far. And then we have a final message from Creative Assembly. Before I end today, I want to cover an omission that you may have been hoping for in Grand Cathay's roster update, an elite core infantry unit. There is a very good reason for this, and trust me, we aren't monkeying around. Ah, yeah, okay. So they're keeping that away because Monkey Warriors are going to be a thing when the Monkey King eventually comes in. Okay, fair. Oh, I just hope they're big gorillas, man. That'd be cool. But yeah, let's continue. The first, as we explained, is keeping on the focus on the Celestial Court and the Jade Dragon. The second is being that the Celestial Courts don't have a unit of this type to add. That said, we've only just scratched the surface of the possible content we can create for Grand Cathay, and as I mentioned earlier, we have plans to support this game with lots of content for the foreseeable future. Good lads! I was worried you were going to fuck this up. Seriously, there was a bit of a worry in the back of my mind that this was going to end up being like the future of Total War Warhammer 3, but it looks like they're going to double down because they know that this is the big money. So let's continue here. So when can you expect patch 4.2 and all of its additions to Shadow change? Well, the team are still working flat out to have everything ready for release, but we want to be upfront with you that there is a chance that our intended release dates could shift slightly. This is true. This is the true nature of video game development. In spotting those last-minute issues or adding that final polish, which can lead to release dates changing. It's important to all of us here that we get patch 4.2 right for you, so we won't rush it out before it's ready. As it stands today, we're on track to release in the middle of the month. But like I said, this could shift closer to the end of February, depending on how the remaining work goes. I'm optimistic, and the team are super energized in getting everything done and ready to put into your hands. Next week, I'll be back with a deep dive on the additional units coming to Tzeentch, along with the confirmation of 4.2's release date. Okay, so they're taking their time. Good. Good. Take your time. I like this. I am a big fan of wait until it's ready. And yeah, this is good. I'm fairly happy that they're going to take their time. I feel like this is probably going to be better so we don't get the mistakes of the past. So far, what I've read, I'm really excited about. I feel like this is going to be a good way moving forward if everything works as intended. Hold your breath. Well, don't hold your breath because you'll die. But, you know, wait and see. Let's hope that this gets better. With all that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I do apologize for being a little bit late, but they didn't give us this blog early because, yeah, you know, the creator program is still kind of on ice and all that usual stuff, but let's hope for the best. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you all again very, very soon.